Welcome to Everyday Ethics, everybody. I am your host, Michael Liebowitz, with the one and the only Persephone here today, and we are going to continue where we left off yesterday with Persephone asking me questions, although I do have a hard out today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, so we only have a half hour. We are also trying to reach our goal of $150 to get me to wear the cat phone
Cat phone.
headphones. We are $70 in, so we're almost halfway there, not quite, but hopefully you can help us get there. That'd be absolutely wonderful, people. Wonderful.
Yeah, I want to be matchy with Michael. Come
What?
on, people.
Did you just
Matchy
say
matchy.
matchy matchy?
Matchy.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird, Persephone,
I
but
am I am a little weird.
that's all right.
I just
I like
I'm very
weird.
I'm very tired today. I just want everybody to know that I'm very tired today. So
Well,
can it can
you can do whatever you like. You are Persephone.
thank you. Matchy is adorable. See, Amy
All
agrees
right.
with me.
All right.
So
Matchy is adorable.
so I do have questions, but I watched an episode of Burn Notice yesterday, and I want to talk to you about something that happened in Burn Notice.
I've seen most of them.
Okay, so do you remember the episode of Burn Notice where the guy that runs a charity for veterans gets swindled by some dude and then they end up in a hostage situation?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay, so just a little bit of backstory. So this guy who runs a charity for veterans, he falls for this investment scam, and Michael and Sam want to help him get his money back from these people. But before they can, he barges into this like swindler's office and like pulls a gun on them and basically takes this guy and his assistant hostage.
Okay, I think I remember this. This Fiona was still with them at the time, right?
She wasn't in there with him. It was just Michael and
No, no, no,
Sam.
no. I'm saying she was part of the team because later
Yeah, yeah,
on,
yeah.
okay, I just wanted to make sure where I fell off, they stopped showing them, so I didn't catch the end.
Yeah, no, that I think it's like mid-season or early season 4. But anyway, so that whole story happens. So this swindler dude stole a bunch of money from a charity specifically for, veterans. And at the end, they basically fool this guy into like holding the gun so that when the cops come in, it looks like he's the perpetrator, and that the
I
four of
remember. Yeah, I remember this. But yeah, okay.
so so there's a question here. So the everything hinges on this one woman who they took hostage. Everything hinges on her agreeing with their story that this dude was the one who took the hostages
Yeah.
and not the actual people who did it. And I want to know, what would you do in that situation if you were her?
Okay. First thing I'm gonna say is I hate this, and I'm gonna tell you why I hate it. Because people don't live in lifeboats. This is a lifeboat scenario, right? We call the show Everyday Ethics.
I
And
know,
I like
but
to deal with the ethics of real life. I literally will never, ever, ever be in this scenario. Neither will anybody in this audience. So, like, I don't gather the point. But I will say this: it would depend on a lot of factors. If you're asking me, would I ever lie to authorities to protect somebody who was a good person? Yes, I would.
see,
I absolutely would. But I'm not. The problem is I have with this scenario is I'm not all for vigilantism,
it's
right?
also a good
So,
point.
so this guy that goes busting in with the gun, I'm not about that. I'm also not about the whole Michael Weston and his cronies of burnt spies, FBI agents, and ex girlfriend doing what they're doing. So, I mean, the whole show is fun to watch. There's a lot of folksy wisdom in it, but ultimately, I wouldn't support any of that stuff. So I in that scenario, I wouldn't have gotten those guys involved. I wouldn't be going after the guy with the gun. It wouldn't hinge on all of that stuff. You know what I mean? I
If
wouldn't.
it makes you if
I
it
would.
makes you
What
feel
I
any
do not put me in that position is what I'm gonna say.
if it makes you feel any better, I have real questions for you. I
No, it
just
does make me
watched
feel better.
I just watched that episode yesterday and I thought it was funny.
I do like shows that pose ethical dilemmas. That to me just it's one of these that's very outlandish. If a friend of mine was being wrongly accused, I would hide him and I would lie for him and I would not care. But this, I don't know why this guy went and got the gun involved. I don't know, I don't remember, but I do vaguely remember it. But it's such an unrealistic scenario. But it does serve a good point here though, because oftentimes when people are trying to figure out ethics, it's not about um, you know, should I look at this? Where are the ears from Daniel Suska? Thank you, Danny. It's not about should I shirk at my job. It's not about should I lie to my girlfriend or should I how should I treat people? Who should be the beneficiary of my actions? These ethical dilemmas bring up craziness. About the trolley problem. Do you flip the switch and let the trolley hit 5 people or does it hit 2 people? Situations you're never going to face. What we want to do is bring our ethics back down to earth and reality and focus on the situations that we're actually dealing with in life. Diana wants me to wear the ears, she says.
I mean, I agree. She's a very smart woman. So when I
That's,
was thinking, when
what? What's wrong?
what was confusing about that? You made like a sound.
No, it was nothing confusing. Oh, when you
Okay,
said she's a very smart woman, I was going to make a smart remark and then I decided it wasn't in my interest to do so. But thanks for calling me out on it. Appreciate that.
you're so welcome. So when I was thinking about this, one of the things that I was thinking is that if you take a situation that you think is challenging, right? Like a lot of the time, if you spend any time thinking about it and thinking about sort of objectivist principles, most situations have a pretty clear-cut answer. It might
Yeah.
not if you're accurate about yourself and you're accurate about your evaluation of the situation and you are honest about things, most like dilemmas or like situations that you'll get yourself into, they all have like a pretty simple, pretty clear-cut answer. It's not always super easy to apply because there's sometimes like some self-deception happening or you maybe don't have all of the information, but for the most part, most like ethical dilemmas, they have a pretty simple answer.
Ethical dilemmas are normally not dilemmas at all. What it normally is a person doesn't want to have to do what's right because either it'll harm himself or it'll harm somebody else. But where I find ethical dilemmas, I'll give you. I gave you one yesterday in the case of the prosecutor, and I'll give you another one that I faced. So when I was getting ready to go for my sentence modification, my lawyer said to me, Mike, the prosecutor's going to agree to take only 2 years off of your sentence. And the prosecutor is going to have you stipulate on the record that you cannot apply for any further reduction of your sentence. I said, okay, that's fine. I then talked to the prosecutor when I called him, tell him about the book, and I told him, yes, I'll agree to that. Okay. When we went to court, the prosecutor never brought it up, never stipulated it for the record. It was nowhere to be found. Okay. Subsequently, the law changed, and you no longer have to go to the prosecutor in order to get a sentence reduction. You go directly toward the judge, and then the prosecutor can either argue for you or against you, however he so wants. So the law changed. So I tried to call the prosecutor to ask him, do you consider us to have a binding agreement, even though you didn't stipulate it like you said you were going to? He never responded to me. I had Subby calling the prosecutor. He didn't respond to Subby. I had a lawyer reach out to him, and he said he told the lawyer, yes, we have an agreement. He can't do it again. But he never told me. He never told Subby. Okay. In the meantime, COVID happened. So the conditions of my confinement were considerably altered. We were locked down much of the time. When you got COVID, you had to get moved. I mean, it was not fun. I mean, I know prison's not supposed to be fun. I was also in a broken down, dilapidated prison with mice and birds flying around. So things had changed considerably. I also got in touch with Melissa, who would become my girlfriend. So a lot had changed in the meantime. I told Subby, listen, prior to this, let me back up. I had told Subby because Subby got tired of trying to contact the guy. So I told him, forget it, don't worry about it. I'll just serve out the remainder of my sentence. I'm not trying to stress you out or stress anybody out. But when I had Melissa in my life now, everything had changed. I said, look, Subby, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to go back on it and ask you, will you please reach out to the guy? If you don't want to, it's cool. Subby said, okay. He still didn't get back to Subby. So Subby said, look, just put in for the modification. I said, no, because I'm not sure if I never actually agreed on paper like the prosecutor wanted, but I wasn't confident. I didn't know. Did I give my word? Did I not give my word? Basically, I gave my word that I would give my word. So I wasn't sure how this was binding on me. Subby, now this is 2022. Subby had been looking out for me in prison for 14 years. Subby was my everything in prison. He was my means of getting books. He was my means of reaching out to people. When I would write something, he would get it there. He was everything. I called Subby one day and Subby said, look, dude, I'm going to tell you this right now. Either you're going to put in for this fucking sentence modification or I'm done with you. He said, he told me, you're being ridiculous. The prosecutor is not responding. He knows you're reaching out to ask about this. He's not calling you back. You never agreed on the record. Things have changed considerably in the 4 or 5 years since since you agreed to agree. He said, when you get out, I will still let you live with me, but I will not be accepting your calls. I will not be relaying messages. I won't do anything for you. So you are going to either try to get out of prison or we are done here and out. So now I'm in a situation. Okay, I'm unsure whether I actually gave my word or not. It's, the prosecutor said he was going to stipulate it and didn't. I've tried over and over and over again to get in touch with him. Conditions have significantly changed in that I no longer even have to go through him. I now am in a prison where there's a virus going around all the time. We're always on lockdown, always separated from people, can't get visits. So things are just drastically different. So now this to me was a real dilemma because I was faced with, okay, I'm going to lose Subby. I'm going to not be out there with Melissa. I'm going to be stuck here in this prison. The prosecutor's not getting back to me. All he has to do is answer the phone and say, yes, we have an agreement. Don't do it. But he won't even do that. So for me, this was a real dilemma. And in the end, I was pushed over the edge by Subby because now it's like, okay, the prosecutor won't answer me. And now I'm not only going to be stuck in prison for 3 more years, but I'm fucked. Right? Yeah. I have nothing for the next 3 years. So I ultimately did put in for it. When we went to court, the prosecutor, he wasn't even upset about it. He said to me, you're the most reformed inmate I've ever seen, but I'm still going to oppose this. But he forgot, like the prosecutor had forgotten key details about the case, about all kinds of stuff. And I actually had to correct him on the record. It was the second time I had to correct him on the record. I did the first time we went too. My lawyer as well, I had to correct on the record. So my point is that it was a real dilemma in the sense that my own immediate or intermediate self-interest was in conflict or in possible conflict with the principle of honesty because I had given my word and I wasn't sure. That to me was a real dilemma, right? Most things are not. Most things are just, we know what we want and we don't want to do what's right. But this was a case where I had already risked my freedom by telling the prosecutor about the book. And now I was willing to further risk it by not going back on a word because I wasn't sure if I was bound by it or not. So that's what I think of when I think ethical dilemmas.
I mean, that's a tough one, but I also don't know that that's a situation that a lot of people are ever gonna
Oh
find
no, they
themselves in.
probably won't, but I did. But my point is only that there's a situation where your short-term interest or even your intermediary interest appears to be in conflict with the principles you live by.
Mm.
So, but I like to call this the principle of Jean Valjean. Do you know who he is? You must. So, Jean Valjean, for those who don't know, is the protagonist of the book Les Miserables. And what happens is he steals a loaf of bread because his family's hungry. He breaks a window, steals a loaf of bread to feed the family, ends up in jail. When he goes to jail, he tries to escape numerous times, turns a 5-year sentence into a 19-year sentence. And when he gets out, it turns into a situation. Now, there's a lot of other stuff that happens when he first gets out where he does wrong. He's not living right, you know. But then he starts to do right, and then he's put into a position where there's another guy that the authorities think is him, and they're going to, I believe, execute the guy. And Jean Valjean is doing right at this point. He's turned his life around. He's the mayor of a city. He's doing everything, you know, stand up dude. And he's put in the position now where this guy that he's going to rescue is an actual thief. The guy did steal something, but because they think he's Jean Valjean, he's going to have his sentence exacerbated by this. And Jean Valjean does he let this guy suffer for, you know, for his own past, or does he tell the truth and be honest, and then he's going to put himself in prison because he's broken his ban? What that means, he's run away from parole. So what does he do in that situation? Doing the right thing runs contrary to his interest, but it's all because of the decisions that he previously made. Had he not set himself against reality initially, he's not in that position now. So when I was in prison, a lot of times doing the right thing immediately worked to my detriment instead of acting in my own interest, but it was because I had already set myself against reality. But one could argue, as I would, that those short-term setbacks that I had, or short-term sufferings that I had because I did the right thing, in the end have paid off because of the life I have today.
I mean, I would agree with that. And I know there's that really stupid religious saying. They say everything happens for a reason, or like every cloud has a silver lining, all of that nonsense.
Yeah.
But I do think that like a lot of times you can go through negative stuff and stuff can seem hard, but in the end it is worthwhile to stick to your principles, because in the end it will probably work out better for you.
Yes. The principles of ethics are principles to maximize your chance of success, of flourishing. There's no guarantee. It's just like anything else in life. You could always do the right thing. You can always eat healthy and drop dead.
Mm. Be hit by a bus.
What is this thing you have in your hand anyway?
This is a pom pom. I would tell you the story of uh sort of, but mine didn't come off a hat.
What do you
Mine
don't
had
you call these beanies or something?
Yes, that's what they're called. They're called beanies.
It,
Everybody in the chat, what do you call that hat?
it's
Is it a
not looking good. It's not looking like we're gonna make it to the $150. I'm
no, it's
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, what else you
terrible.
got? You got any other questions?
Yes. So,
Yes.
everybody like donate if you think Mike should stop mocking my accent.
Nobody
So,
donated. I guess not.
you have to give people more than like a split second. You have this terrible habit. You're like, does anybody have any questions? No. You don't.
Australians call them beanies too. But you're not Australian, but you kind of sound like one. It's a whole weird thing.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Like the New Zealand accent also sounds weirdly South African.
All right, can
It's
we get
because
to a
we've
question here?
Yes. So if you are building something, I was thinking about I was thinking about Katrin and something Katrin said a little while ago. So if you're building something long term, how and you're going through like a difficult phase,
Yeah.
right? How do you tell the difference between when you're like rationally just being patient and working through a difficult phase versus when you're falling into like the sunk cost
Well,
um
I would say you
trap?
pay attention to reality. I've been at this, for instance, for 3 years. I'm just starting to make a little bit of money off of it. But I've also had feedback, for instance, the great Todd Feinberg, who's been a talk show host his whole life, when I got out of prison, referred to me as a 5-year-old Michael Jackson. And he always told me I'm like a magician with my words, that, I'm basically made for this. I've had a lot of productive feedback that's telling me that I can make it doing this. Right? Now, what if people were telling me, well, Mike, you just suck. And I'm like, no, you're just trying to drag me down. Like, even people I care about are telling me, no, you just suck. Well, that would be a clear indication. But people don't tell me that. I mean, Mark Pellegrino, this guy's a, somewhat famous actor, is willing to team up with me to host a show. Right?
Yeah.
You who don't know me at all until now are willing to invest a lot of time and effort into helping to build it. So I get feedback from the environment that's telling me I'm going in the right direction. I know where there's tweaking that needs to be done. I need to improve. Like, for instance, on the Capitalist Corner, we've now cut back to a few topics rather than a bunch. We want to start making production better and improving things. So there's tweaks that I need to make, but I have every indication that I'm going in the right direction. If I didn't have those indications and I keep doing it, well, then I'm just defying reality. And my guess is it's like that for most things, that you have to pay attention to the feedback you're getting from the environment to tell you whether you're actually working towards something or if you're just wasting your time. But that's not really sunk costs, what you're talking about. Sunk cost is when you say, oh my God, I've put so much effort in this already, I can't let it go. That should not be part of the equation. It does not matter how much effort you've put into something if it's just not going to work or if you're just not good at it. I could try to become a singer for a rock band, and it doesn't matter if I invest the next 10 years of my life at it. I'm never going to be the singer of a rock band, right? So if at that point I say, you know what, I'm still going to do it because I've dedicated 10 years, those are sunk costs. It's time to get out.
Yeah, but I mean, people talk about sunk costs when it comes to like a relationship. People won't leave a relationship that isn't so. And yes, I know that this is silly. People won't leave a relationship that they've been in for, 5, 6 years, even if it's not serving them anymore, because they're
But
like,
if
well, I've
they,
invested.
but that's the thing. If they say if it's because of the time they've invested, that's sunk costs.
Mm,
If what they're saying is, oh, but I think it's still going to work out, and that's a little bit different. Now you could combine the two. Certainly, people with sunk costs say, oh, I think it's going to work out, and I put so much effort in it. But you have to always just pay attention to reality. I mean, you're going to get feedback from the environment that should tell you if you're going in the right direction or not.
yeah, I feel like a lot of times when people do sort of fall into the sunk cost, they're not most of the time. They're not just thinking, but I've invested so much time. Yes, that is what it is. But most of the time, they're like, well, I've invested so much time. Surely it has to work eventually.
That's a little different. I don't want to argue with you all day about what sunk costs are, but you can look it up, folks. I mean, Danny says my singing is atrocious. I was singing in the dollar store. I don't remember singing in the dollar store, but I will tell you this. Danny was looking for a birthday card for his wife, and they had cards. Birthday for your husband, birthday for your son, birthday for your niece, birthday for your grandpa, birthday for your great grandpa, everything. There was not a single birthday card for your wife, which got me thinking, what are these husbands all deadbeats? They think that the husbands aren't going to buy cards?
What if the wife cards were all just sold out?
That could be. So that's the glass half full, I guess. But I found the good card. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe he doesn't want people to know that I picked out the card.
Well,
Maybe I.
too late. Now they do.
We went. You want to talk about ethics, right? I'm going to give you a good example. What I would consider somewhat. I'm not going to say an ethical failure, but when you work for somebody, in my view, you go to work for somebody, it's implied that you're going to give your level best. So Danny has a thing, right? Where when we go out for coffee, he tells them, make me whatever you want, surprise me. Right? Now, whatever it is, he said, I just don't want mammal milk. He said, oat milk, almond milk, whatever's fine. But surprise me, whatever you got. So we went to a place yesterday, and they've got all kinds of stuff on the menu, different varieties of lattes, teas, this, that, the other thing. And the waitress, or not the whatever she is, the cashier slash waitress, gave him a regular latte with vanilla flavoring. See, to me, that's not going all out. That's not doing your best.
What if that is just the thing that she enjoys the most?
Well, I would say open your horizons. When if somebody just wants a vanilla latte, they would say vanilla latte. When someone's telling you, I'm not saying necessarily she did anything wrong. I'm saying that if you're going to put forth your all, be creative in life. This was somebody obviously looking for creativity. He wasn't looking for vanilla. For God's sake, when you want to tell somebody they're plain, you tell them you're vanilla.
That's true. But also, like I can kind of see it from the other angle as well. Like, what if that was genuinely her favorite thing? What if it wasn't obvious to her that, what he meant was be creative?
Well,
What if
here,
she
hold
was
on, Persephone. You don't think that it was laziness?
to just do a vanilla latte?
Yeah. Somebody tells you get creative, and you're like, okay, I got you. Vanilla,
So,
here you go.
you know what? At the coffee stores here in South Africa, like we don't have all of that shit. Like all of the weird and wacky things you guys get at coffee stores, we don't get that. Like we have Starbucks, but we don't like
And he gave her a
you
good tip, by the way. And I got a problem with that too, but we'll get into maybe that
get
another
into
time.
tipping in another
Well,
yeah. So
this thing where they hand you the thing and say, "Oh, there's an option for you there," and they're asking you for tips for jobs that normally don't get tips. These people are minimum wage workers. They're not sub minimum wage waitresses.
yeah, tipping culture I think has gotten a bit out of control and it's sort of like started to it's really bad in America, but it started to bleed into like other places as well. And tipping for things that you're like, this shouldn't be something that I tip for. Like, if you go to a takeout, like if you get takeout and you go and pick it up, like I'm not tipping you for nothing. Like it's like if you tipped at the drive-through. That's just bizarre to me. What am I tipping for?
Yes. Good thinking. All right, folks, we did not meet our deadline, but we did get about halfway there. So maybe we'll surprise you with an improvisation of sorts that we will do to entertain the crowd here. Again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your donations. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Persephone, you have anything to tell the people before we leave?
Yes, visit the Patreon, sign up for the Patreon. Next weekend we'll be having a group Zoom call, which I think will be a lot of fun. And I hope to see you all there. Don't forget that the Everyday Ethics is available on Spotify. Please go and listen and leave a rating. Capitalist Corner is also available on Spotify. Please go listen and give it a rating. And see
A
you guys next
rating?
week.
All right. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend, and all weekend long, be ethical.